that smile big. Okay.
You went too far.
Also, y'all keep looking here instead of there.
I know. That's why I said we
Don't look over there.
See, no, because for the most part, I am looking at you when you talk, and then I'm not turning all the way around here when I can see me right there.
Well, you're not supposed to see you.
Okay, but put the camera right there or something, because
I'm gonna take like a small.
Can you put that on this screen and turn it so she can't see it?
Yeah.
And then
yeah, but again, it still takes away from you. When I'm talking to you, does it make better sense for me to sit like this and sit here and talk? When you're talking, I still got to turn like this here, and all the movement is what's causing me to hurt. I can't do that.
Yeah, don't.
That's why. But I can't stay this way, and this is where he wants me.
Well,
but I can't because I'm looking at you.
So does it hurt right now?
It's gonna hurt if you want me to keep turning back and forth because I'm gonna tell you.
No, you don't have to keep turning back and forth.
But you want me to look at the camera.
No, I only want you to look at the camera when you're emphasizing something.
Oh, okay. Well, next.
So when you're like, fish fry.
I'll see if I can't work it in. But
fish fry.
Because I mean, it's just more comfortable for me to stay right like this. It is.
So in your case, the conversation is more personal. So you're just talking. You're speaking directly this way. Mm-hmm. But if it's something that's like, all right, so everybody needs to hear this, that's when you turn to the camera and say that. That's when you're breaking down the fourth wall.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll
go fish fry. When you first was talking about that fish fry.
I know, and that's why if the camera was right here though, you'd have caught it all and it would have been just fine. But over here, I'm talking to you. This is the personable. But for me to have to turn and I'm supposed to talk to the people, that's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to do that. I can talk to you. Exactly. That's my point.
You don't like the people. Don't be the people.
Mm-hmm. I'm not a people person at all. I'm a one-on-one kind of girl.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay.
You went too far.
Welcome to Sip and Tip. I'm MJ.
And I'm Zanae.
We are here today to talk about apologies.
Yes.
I personally do not like giving apologies, so I try not to outstep my bounds.
And I apologize way too much. But things that I probably should apologize for, but sometimes it feels like an apology eases it in.
So, I will say, I've had to apologize recently because I didn't think it through and I was just talking and I hurt someone's feelings. So, I apologize, but in my apology, or after my apology, through conversation, that person expected me to devalue their experience and tell them how I was right and they were wrong. But instead, I did the exact opposite. And again, it's partly because of the foundation that I'm on. I can own when I'm wrong.
Right.
So I was just like, I apologize for hurting their feelings and not in a way that devalued them. But at the same time, I was like, why would you think that I would try and flip it? I'm not the victim here. You feel that way. I don't.
Right.
So why would I take that from you?
Because a lot of people do. Instead of just saying, I apologize, I hurt you, it's, I apologize if that did this to you. That if is what devalues everything.
Right. And so, for apologies, in my understanding or opinion, should not be attached to conditions. If you got to put a condition on it, then that's not warranted. That's not valid.
Right.
So, for me, it was just, I'm sorry I hurt you, period. Like, if that hurt you by what I said or how I said, whatever the case may be, I was wrong for that because that was not my intentions. If I wanted to hurt you, I'm not going to apologize.
Right.
If I'm pissed and I want to hurt you, I will not apologize. Period. Because again, most of the time I choose my words pretty precisely, or I will explain what I mean so that you get my understanding as well.
Right.
But if I'm not intentionally trying to hurt you, I will apologize because that is not my intention. And so the topic of apologies felt very valid to talk about outwardly, because I feel like many people hold their breath waiting for the other shoe to drop when someone apologizes.
I mean, a lot of times when people apologize, it's not genuine.
And that's the problem.
Sometimes people apologize to you just to pacify so that you'll go ahead and continue to be their sucker.
That's manipulative.
Very much so. But that happens way too often. Way too often. I've been the victim of that type of apology for so many years that I finally just said, I'm done. I no longer want that apology. I will no longer look for that apology. I'm just going to be who I am.
And that brings up another good topic, is the seeking or the need for that validation. Mm-hmm. And again, I feel like people should be validated in their feelings.
Right.
But on the flip side, when you cannot come to a conclusion or see eye to eye, I feel like you should be able to gather your chips, if you will, and move forward with or without a sincere apology.
Right.
Because if you're holding your life on pause, waiting for an apology from someone that does not see your point, you are pausing your life, yes. And that's damaging to you, not the other person, because they will continue.
They've forgotten all about you.
Or why you're mad.
Exactly.
Or why they tried to apologize in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, you know, in my situation, it took a genuine long conversation to get on the same page and for the understanding to be understood, right. The general consensus, and we were able to move forward. But in retrospect and having, you know, smaller conversations within that conversation, I realized that it's not a general thing that is done. And so my question is why are adults, fully functioning adults, not able to apologize and own their mishaps? And again, we both have degrees in psychology, so we get an understanding as to why. But in a general sense, if you're involved with someone, whether it's business, platonic, intimate, whatever kind of relation or situationship you have, you should at least care enough to figure out how or why you hurt the person that you hurt.
Exactly.
And if you don't care enough, why are you continuing that relationship in any form, fashion? Like, that's a whole nother topic.
Yes, it can be.
And so that, again, that it baffles me on a general sense that so many people can be in relationships that they don't care about.
Yeah, well, I don't quite understand why anybody would intentionally, but I think subconsciously people are just there because they don't want to be alone.
Valid point.
They don't want to be by themselves, so they put up with a lot.
Valid point. And so, and it's still back to that apology part. At what point, as a person, do you draw the line in the sand and put you first?
The individual has to make up that moment for themselves. They have to choose it and take it.
Right.
And if they don't take it, another one will come. Another one will come. They just don't give up. Don't just self-sabotage and make yourself feel like you have to stay with somebody that's horrible to you and you're waiting on an apology because you just believe in them so much. You gotta look at the reality. Look at your situation for what it is.
Right.
Apology may not come. And if it doesn't, you have to choose whether you want to stick with it or walk away.
That's a good tip. That's a great tip. Because we all have power. Whether we exercise it or not, that's another topic. But we all have power, especially in our relationships or our engagements with other people. You don't have to subject yourself to any one person in a general sense. I get there's a lot of other things that kind of go into play at sometimes, where you have to be in the realm of other people that are hurting you, but in a general sense, you have the ability to walk away. Are you empowered to do so is the question. And for many women, I get the general sense that we're not. We're not empowered to make that decision. We're not empowered to be our own governing agent, if you will, to walk away and make that decision. And for anybody that has the strength and the ability and the means to walk away, if you're looking for an approval or permission, I give it to you. I mean, obviously every situation is different, and I think everyone needs to weigh their pros and cons and figure out what it means for their life, depending upon the situation. But if you need someone to just encourage you and morally support your decision, you know what's best for you. Walk away if you need to, because no one needs to be manipulated.
True enough. And if you're that individual that needs to do the apologizing, I encourage you to look inside your heart and really look at why that other individual is either upset, sad, withdrawn, because 9 times out of 10, it was one of your actions that caused that reaction.
Right.
And if you don't think like that, you're going to miss out. Because that person probably cares enough about you to go through God only knows. And fake apologies don't breed a happier ending. You have got to really deep right here. You got to go in your heart and think about why you're apologizing. Did you mean to hurt that individual? Because if you didn't mean to hurt them, the best thing to do is let them know that.
Yes. And trust me, if a woman says they're fine,
yeah, they're not. But we can play it off like we are.
there is only so many times you could do a person wrong, especially if they have the means to walk away. And usually, for most women, mentally we will leave you before we physically leave a situation.
Oh, man.
This goes for employment, this goes for intimate relationships, this goes for friendships. We will mentally disconnect to assure that we will show you how, in steps, you will miss us. And as complex as that might sound, it's all in giving you a chance to rectify what has happened. We use this woman to woman, we use this woman to man, we use this across the board.
Yes.
And so an apology, simple words, simple verbiage can make a world of difference in many situations. There are families that are broken apart because they refuse to apologize. There are people that will quit. I know I have quit one job without having another job set up.
Yep, done that.
Because of supervisors or because of an entity that refused to acknowledge their wrongdoing. And again, it did not hurt me because I have the means, or had the means then, to find another job before my 2 weeks was up. I always give my 2 weeks notice. But I always make sure that I am very articulate as to why I'm leaving. Whether it's an employment opportunity or anything else, I always articulate, this is why. This is where you went wrong. Mm-hmm. It's up to that person if they want to take that information or if they want to just throw it back on me. And again, I've had times where people would rather paint me to be the bad person. And I'm okay with that. If that's what you need to get through your life, have at it. Because anybody that knows who I am will know, or anybody interested in knowing who I am, will know and see exactly where the chips fall. I do not waste my mind space on people that are unable to uphold their end of a relationship. Relationships are built on a give and take. It's not going to be 50-50 in all areas. That's a misconception. But there should be a give and take. It should not just be a give, or a take on any side of that coin.
Exactly.
And that's not just a physical means. It's not just monetary. So for me, if you're not interested in learning or knowing who I am, if you don't ask the questions, I'm only going to give you so much.
Well, see, and I'm sorry, but I'm not an individual to ask questions. I'm really not. I don't ask questions because I don't want to feel like I'm imposing or digging into your life that you don't want to share with me. So
Right.
I choose not to ask those questions unless it's pertaining to you and I. If it's something that's going to affect us together, yes, I'll ask the question. But if you're going through something, I'll let you know I'm here. I can't say, oh, well, what did they do? What happened? I can't do it.
Well, and so again, I think there's a fine line between asking questions and gossiping. And so for me, it's like, well, how can I be here for you? Or I heard this. Is this true? And you, again, gossiping is, girl, so-and-so said,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm a grown woman with a lot of grown woman stuff. I can't. I can't. But if you come to me and you say, I heard this.
Right.
Can you validate, confirm, deny, whatever? Then we can have a conversation. And me personally, being the woman I am, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, who told you that? I'm like, well, just know this is what was said, but this is what I believe to be true.
Right.
And again, a perception plays a part in this, because what I perceive of one situation might not be what you perceive.
True.
Because we all see the world through our own lenses, which is made up of our own experiences. And we have different experiences based off of our life and at what time in our life those experiences occurred.
And it's interesting because it's also how we view certain people as well.
Or ourselves.
Right. But it's like I had a situation where I saw a situation one way. You're going to tell me a story, but I can not only see your side, but I can see a possibility for the other person's side. Even though I may not know them, the words you give me tell me whether or not that person sounded like they were just being an ass.
Right.
Oops. Or just, being sarcastic or whatever. If I happen to say to you, okay, but what if this person didn't mean it like that? What if they meant like this? Because I believe in trying to bring peace,
Right.
not destruction. So if I hear something that you might not have heard, then I bring it to you. Either you're receptive or you're not. Because you know that individual, I don't.
Right. And that brings another point is your apology can't always come in that moment. Sometimes you got to take a break.
Yes.
Because once emotions are high, you're not hearing. You're feeling the words. You're not hearing. That logic goes out the window. You're irrational. You are very emotional. And you got to take that break. You got to take that downtime, especially if you're emotionally charged. And so there's certain topics that will evoke more emotions than others. And so that's really where the self-discovery comes in, because you got to know yourself to know if you can finish that conversation there in a rational way or not.
Yes. Now, if your blood's boiling
Don't do it.
and you feel like you're about to blow,
Don't do it.
just tell somebody you need a minute.
Right.
Take that minute to actually reflect on everything you just felt. Don't take it to fuel the anger. Take it to reflect on what it is that was actually said to you. Because when you do that, if you separate just for a few minutes and think about what was said, you might hear the actual compassion in that.
Right.
Don't just be all angry.
And also look for truths. We don't want to admit the truths outwardly, but just look for truths. is this true? Is what they say or what they've done have some error of truth? Because sometimes we allow things to happen because we're being passive or we're being accommodating. And then when we hit our breaking point, everything is wrong.
Yes.
But you've already set a precedent that this is okay.
Guilty.
So if you're setting that precedent, you can't wholeheartedly be mad at them because you allowed that to happen.
Exactly.
However many times it has happened.
Right.
So taking that break and just analyzing that. Not ruminate, don't add to the story or what you could have did or what you should have done or what. Don't think about those things because that complicates it even more. And in our emotional brain, we take those as facts. And what you should have became what you did, and you didn't do that. You didn't do it. It didn't happen. So don't add it to it. Just take a moment and look for the facts.
And just because you allowed something in the past does not mean you need to let it continue.
Yes.
If you are changing and evolving, so are your rules. So are the things you will accept and won't accept. And I'm sorry, but at 48, there are things that I won't accept. And I refuse to be silent. So
yes.
Don't let nobody keep walking over you. When you've decided to make a stand, take that stand.
Right. But also when you take your break to analyze or think on what has happened, remember to schedule yourself to review that with the person that it has happened with. You don't want it to go unsaid or unaddressed because then it gives the other person the indicator that it's okay. And I'm sure everyone has had that situation where you stop talking to people for a while because they hurt your feelings. Maybe you spoke on it, maybe not. Maybe you had a physical or audio falling out, and then you just stopped talking about it. And then you got back together like nothing ever happened, and then it happened again.
Yep.
Maybe not the same topic, but a lot of the things were similar.
The same actions, exactly.
And so you want to address it because honestly, if you don't address it, no one's to say that you weren't just having a bad day or they weren't having a bad day and you guys just didn't get along on that day.
And you need to clarify that you didn't like something.
Clarify where you stand.
Yes.
Because that is the pivotal point. That is where you get a decision and they get a decision. You can choose to meet each other halfway and come to a compromise, or you can choose to disagree.
Right. And adults are supposed to be able to agree to disagree.
Right.
It's okay. We don't all have to agree on the same things in the same fashion.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. And just honoring, if the apology comes across and you decide to honor that apology, honor it. Don't throw it back in their face, especially if it didn't come back.
Right.
Don't think just because they apologize that one time that they're always the one that's wrong. We all take turns at being wrong. Right. All of us. In different aspects, on different topics, at different times.
Right.
And on different levels. Sometimes we're only partially wrong. Not a whole completely wrong. But, again, owning your truths. Understanding the facts.
And that nobody is the same as you.
Right. That's a big thing. Because no one's going to treat you the way you treat others. You will treat yourself bad. But you don't expect other people to treat you bad. Because we are our own worst enemy. True. And yet still we don't apologize to ourselves. Not a typical daily thing. Because we do damage to ourselves. Mentally, not even physically. I'm not talking about what the physical stuff we do. Right. But our negative thoughts
are damaging.
That's what stops us from growing. That's what stops us from being the best people we can be. That's what stops us from taking opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That is deep.
Very.
And so I know for as long as I can remember in my adult life, I've used affirmations. And I wax and wane. It's not an everyday thing. But definitely when I'm stressed, because that's when I'm really negative, I'm really hard on myself, is when I'm stressed, because stress breeds negativity.
Yes, it does.
And so that's when I have to consciously put into place different affirmations.
Okay.
It has to be a conscious thing. Because other than that, it won't happen. It doesn't work.
See, I'm a stress cleaner.
And that's
I
great.
just get to cleaning. I don't care what it is. I'm just going to start cleaning.
And so for some people, that cleanses the soul and that cleanses out that negative.
It does.
But when another person is bringing that negative to you, if you don't stop that from entering your space, entering into your mental space, well, there's only so much cleaning you can do. I know. So, again, and it just goes back into, we have to be at peace in our own body, whatever that may look like. And it may look different for other people. But we have to be okay with who we are as a person.
Right. And don't always look for the apology.
Don't always look for the apology. Don't always look for the understanding. Because some people do not understand or cannot understand your concepts or your ideology or your perspective because they have not lived through the things you've lived through. They have not understood or been presented with the things that you've been presented with.
They don't have the same empathetic meter.
Right. Right.
Empathy is something that not everybody has.
Yes. And honestly, empaths are usually the ones that get hurt the most. Because they just want to fix everything. They're the fixers of the world. They're like, oh, you're hurt. Let me put a Band-Aid on it. But people that are not empaths don't understand the need or the desire to help other people in that way. And again, that's quite okay. It's not a good or a bad. It's just different.
Right.
And so having that conversation allowed at least both sides to see where, one is coming from. You might not agree, but you could agree to disagree or...
See, and then therefore we should have another topic on communication because that ties into that.
Communication is big.
Very big.
And we'll talk about that on a later date. But yes, that is really big. Like in the apology, whether you're an empath or not. And so I guess that's another thing is empaths, the way they apologize is to fix. And so your language in which you speak to other people and the world can vary. Whether it's an audible, I'm sorry, or it's some people, the way they speak is through monetary means. Yes. So maybe it's not saying I'm sorry. Maybe it's here goes money, go get your nails done.
Right?
Or maybe it's something like that, or maybe it's just random acts of kindness, or just it's very different for different people. But you have to be okay with yourself, so that way you're not looking or needing that interaction or that apology, however it might be. So, that's our spiel on apologies.
Yes.
Mean it when you say it. Say what you mean what you say.
Yes.
Be sincere.
And try to understand where the other person is coming from. Remember, for every action, there's a reaction. So if someone's reacting to you in a sad, mad, or whatever way that you don't feel is acceptable, stop for a minute and think about what happened beforehand. How it is you contributed to that feeling. If you can't find a way, ask them.
Or how it is that you can contribute to the aftermath.
Right.
If you're not the one who caused those feelings, how can you help? Whether it's not adding to the feeling that is being processed, or making it a little easier for that person. Right. Figure out how you could contribute on either end.
Yeah. So,
thanks for joining us.
Have a good day.